youtube.com/O The Anthem.
What is an Astro anyway? This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 186 of the O The Anthem podcast. It is 8:47 p.m. Pacific. That makes it 11:47 p.m. Eastern. And O The Anthem is live from coast to coast, coming to you on youtube.com/O The Anthem.
/live,
whatever it is. But yeah. So for the second week in a row, we're recording on YouTube. So we hope you guys enjoy the live stream of the podcast. Corey's arm is in my image. Hang on, let me see if I can fix that.
I'm just doing it because I'm.
This is both.
Don't worry about it.
A little bit of technical difficulties. All right, so there you go. So anyway, guys.
My arm happens. It happens.
Yeah, it's gonna come in. So we are once again recording an #OTA After Dark episode.
Yeah, I know.
But you said that, let's not jump into that first topic.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we decided to record on Monday, and we'll get into that eventually. But what did you want to talk about first? I mean, there's a lot of exciting news around LA, actually.
Well, there's three main points of topic that we're going to get into today. We're going to get into Mueller and the indictments that happened today. Hashtag Mueller Monday.
It's Mueller Monday.
We're also going to discuss the latest with Kevin Spacey.
Right.
That story breaking last night.
Yeah.
And I thought we'd start off with something nice and fun, which is the Dodgers and the Astros in the World Series.
Yes. Yeah.
And up until now, I've only been able to watch little bits and pieces of Game 1, Game 2, Game 3.
Right.
Because I was on set.
Right.
But yesterday, I finally got a chance to watch a good portion of Game 5.
Right.
And God, this series is just so fucking exciting. It's never over. Like,
I was gonna say it's that Game 5 was the first one that I watched, not in its entirety because I think I got
we started watching in like the fourth or something.
Yeah,
like that.
But it was a fantastic game, and now I see why everybody is all up in arms about this series. This has been an exciting series all along. We've been watching the highlights, and it's been exciting. And then to sit and watch it, a big complaint about baseball is it's a long game and it can take a long time and. It was 5.5 hours for Game 5?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like 5.5 hours when these two teams are playing each other. And, for all of all the naysayers and everybody saying everything about, oh, nobody's going to watch, it's not the Giants, it's not the Yankees, there's no big teams in it, you're missing some classic baseball.
I think you're missing the fact that the Dodgers are the second biggest team in the...
True. Yeah, but...
it's the second biggest city.
Yeah, but in a town that doesn't care about baseball unless it's the playoffs, really.
I disagree. I think the Dodger faithful are a loyal bunch, and there's many of them. I think that really even though it's the Los Angeles Angels, it's really Orange County,
right? Who
are Angels fans. There's not much of an Angels dependent up here in Los Angeles. But man, yeah, I have to disagree because the fact that you can't watch the games on live TV, like the regular season games in Los Angeles, makes more people go to the game and makes talking about it seem like more of a thing, like where you're passing on information that you parse from others.
I was going to say, maybe your experience. I work in an office, and none of the people in my office actually watch baseball. So for them, they're like, oh, yeah, I heard the Dodgers are doing well this year. Like, yeah, they're doing well, and, my roommate's gone to a couple games, and I don't get out until 7, so getting to a game is not even LA late. I would be like more than fashionably late. For those of you who don't know, everybody is about 15 minutes to 20 minutes late in LA all the time. That's everything all the time. So, but
it fits in well with my personality.
Yeah, it's basically what I've been doing my whole life, which is why I enjoy being here so much. Is I'm always late, and now I have an excuse, which is everybody's late. You don't even. Let's be honest. You didn't expect me to be on time. You expected me about 15 minutes late, and here I am. So. But yeah, so I didn't go to any Dodger games this year. You went to a couple though, and how was the attendance at those games?
Good.
Yeah,
both of them were very well attended.
An average Tuesday in LA versus Baltimore. How would you compare?
Oh, like a Tuesday game in Baltimore versus a Tuesday game in LA?
Yes.
Oh, LA has way more people in it.
Okay. Well, I see that.
And it's not just because of the bigger stadium. I was thinking of that more as like a percentage of the available seats.
It looks more full.
Well, it is more full. Like, yeah.
The Dodger Stadium seats more people than Camden Yards.
Yes.
Slightly more. No, not including standing room. Not including.
A significant amount more, I think.
Was it like 60,000 in Dodger Stadium?
I want to say it's somewhere in the mid-50s.
Yeah.
And then Camden Yards is like more in the mid-30s or 40s or something like that.
And then if you've ever seen, again, to take it on down to the Baltimore corner, if you've ever seen a game on a Tuesday night in Baltimore, it is sparse unless the team is really rolling in August and September.
And even then, it can be a little...
Even then, it can be bad. So to make a stadium on a Tuesday night look full, but again, we've talked a lot about the population problem in Baltimore. There's 600,000 people. Even if you count the county.
Dodger Stadium is 56,000.
Yeah. Even if you count the county, there's maybe 2-3 million people in the area, whereas LA has access to 16 million people in a greater metropolitan.
And it's 45 for Camden Yards, so there's 10,000 more.
10,000 more seats, but Dodger Stadium looks more full on the average.
Yeah.
So, but Dodgers anyway are in they're in the World Series, and when you're listening to this on Tuesday, Game 6 is up. The Dodgers are down in the series now, 3-2. Not for lack of trying. No. Based on what we've seen for this entire series.
It's just been a slugfest.
Yeah.
We had one pitcher's duel up front in Game 1.
Yeah.
And then everything else has been, let's go up by 3, let's cut the lead, let's get it's been back and forth, like 3-run leads, and it's incredible.
It's good baseball, and the thing is, like, if you watch the series, every game of the series, you got to see everything. You've seen the pitchers duel in Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen a lot of small ball in Game 3, where it was like manufacturing runs.
Yeah.
But you've also seen the games where it's like Game 5, up by 3 runs. Okay, 3-run home run. Okay, we get up by 3 runs again. Another 3-run home run.
Yeah.
And just trading home runs back and forth. And this is what you want to see in a World Series.
Yeah.
You want to see 200-game winning teams playing in the World Series.
What I really want, above all else, is I just want it to go to a Game 7. I mean, the series has had everything. It's had everything a baseball fan could want. The only thing it hasn't had is Game 7. And then, I mean, obviously, if we go to the Game 7, there's other things I would like to add up. Like, I'd like to see a walk-off.
Sure.
That would be a lot of fun. We haven't had one of those since Joe Carter.
Right.
I think that would just be like the end, like a extra innings walk off in Game 7 to give the Dodgers a series would be would cap it as the best World Series.
And for those listeners who are I don't know, not as old as us, if you've seen the video or the picture popularized by Drake's mixtape of Joe Carter doing the pump, that is from his walk-off home run in the World Series when they went for their Toronto Blue Jays, not a bad team now, but they went through their doldrums in the aughts and the 90s.
Late 90s.
Won back-to-back World Series when they weren't expected to be in the playoffs at all. Either year, I don't think. Even though they won the World Series, the next year they were like, well, that was it for the Blue Jays.
There was sort of like that was a fluke.
Yeah. And they went back and repeated and won it in a walk-off home run to go back-to-back. That's the name of the mixtape. So, yeah.
But Verlander tomorrow for the Astros. And
yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing
tonight if you're listening on Tuesday.
And I'm so stoked for it. I'm glad that I can enjoy Game 6 and hopefully Game 7. Still pulling for the Dodgers in the World Series. And I'd like to bring up something that was brought up to me on my Instagram when I posted a picture of me in the Dodgers shirt.
Yeah.
And I spoke of it a little bit last night. I think there's good to be had in having a team in multiple leagues or conferences, whatever the case may be. So having an American League team and a National League team. And for the sake that I live here and I find interest in the team, I've picked the Dodgers as my National League team now.
Right.
So I can root for the Orioles and I can root for the Dodgers and hardly ever do those two.
When's the last time that they actually played? That's a question.
I mean, it was in the regular season last year that they played. Before that, it was
and that was a 2-game or 3-game set.
Something like that.
Yeah. Now, and listen again.
And I mean, they haven't played in the World Series since '66. So.
We lived through the '90s and the aughts and even the early teens of Orioles baseball, where once the playoffs come, it's just. You pick another team to cheer for.
Yeah,
so
for the fun of it. You want to have a rooting interest, so you find somebody in the field that you like, and it might be something like, oh, I'm going to root for the Cubs because they haven't won the World Series in 100 years.
Or when we rooted for the Red Sox before they became huge dicks about it. Right. You know, the whole thing. So I mean, I don't think that, and especially when you're not picking the Angels, who are competing against the Orioles, where we're going to play them several times a season.
Right.
It's something completely different. Again, so when we're in Baltimore and you're cheering for the Nationals, you can cheer for the Orioles and the Nationals. They're going to play every year, 1 or 2 series.
You pick your, you might be a Orioles and Nationals fan, but when it comes to the showdown, you're an Orioles fan. I'm
an Orioles fan, right? But it also allows you to go watch, to have an interest in National League games. And if I'm going to be paying for MASN and MASN 2, why not get the spread of both?
Right.
Both of those things,
Exactly.
And I also like pitchers hitting, and maybe I want to watch a National League game and see some pitchers hit. So, what do you think impact that's going to have coming into Game 6 and 7? Is being in LA, being in a National League ballpark, is that going to have an impact?
Well, I mean, I think that it benefits the Dodgers, because number one, they're used to playing in their park, and the DH, no DH is a big swing, especially for a team that is loaded with so many power hitters like the Astros.
It's gonna have to sit somebody,
And I mean, there's something to be said about that. Your 8th place hitter becomes less valuable because you don't have to worry about putting him, you can walk the 8th place hitter.
Pitcher's coming up.
What are they really going to, bunt him over one more base, and then you're losing an out, and the strategy of it changes a lot. So I like to bet on the people who are used to doing it.
Yeah.
And then you also have the conversation of, pitcher spot's coming up next inning, and Verlander's at 90 pitches. Do you sit Verlander?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 0-0 game. Verlander's at 90 pitches. He's going 5 innings.
The bullpen has been taxed over the last 5 games.
Right.
So.
Do you keep him in there? Do you have him hit one more time? Do you regret not, maybe there's, maybe it's 7, 8, 9 to start the next inning.
Right.
You get runners, or you get people on at 7 and 8. Are you trying to get Verlander to bunt? Are you trying to put somebody in for Verlander, make hay of the situation?
Right. It makes a more complicated batting situation.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I want to cover one other topic about the World Series because it came up last night during Game 5 a lot. You are now fully on board for robot umpires.
Oh, yeah. I'm done. I like the ones in the field.
Okay.
Let me put that. I like the guy in the field who has to make the decision.
Right.
Because if something goes wrong, we still go to the replay.
Now, and I will remind you of an episode, probably 80s, 90s, where you said that when NFL put in the replay, you said that if a referee got it wrong, he should have to come out to the microphone and apologize for his bad call. Yeah. Are you of the same feeling in baseball?
Well, no, because the baseball. The difference was not what I was talking about there was the beige referee incompetence flag.
Right.
And that wasn't about reversing a call. It was about publicly shaming somebody who was wrong.
Right, yeah.
This would be a situation like Joe Flacco gets his head knocked off by Kiko Alonso.
Yeah.
And it's just like they decided not to eject him from the game. And now nothing can be done. Like, as soon as they decide not to eject him, it's not like you could throw the red flag and get them to replay it.
Right.
Or you can't, you talk to the referee, but that's it. If he's made his decision, he's made his decision.
You want a second flag to throw.
You should throw the beige flag in there and make the guy go underneath and look at the hood and go like, I can't do anything about the decision I just made, but man, did I blow it. Sorry, guys.
Now, and
First down, Ravens.
And there was a lot of pitches where we would have been throwing the beige flag in Game 5.
See, this is why I just want I'm fine, even if you had an umpire with an iPad and a soda, just watching the K-zone in the middle of the plate.
Right.
And just hitting a button for strike and a button for ball. And then you could imagine the fun you could have if you had a home plate umpire that was the same for every game.
Right.
Like the Dodgers robot home plate.
Right.
Anytime a Dodger gets a strike on him, it's just a very muted strike. Strike. Strike.
Yeah.
Strike there, you're out. But if you go to when the Giants are in town, it's the Giants and the Dodgers in LA.
Right, yeah.
You get the umpire, the robot on strike. Do the Leslie Nielsen bit from Naked Gun.
Right.
I think it would be great joy for everybody. Because, we already have those moments in a way in sports anyway, because if it's Dodgers-Giants, you'll hear the announcer to now batting for the San Francisco Giants shortstop Brandon Crawford.
Yeah.
And it's very low-key and very muted, but then when Yasiel Puig comes up in the 8th with runners on,
Yasiel!
Now up to bat for the Los Angeles Dodgers, right batter, Yasiel Puig!
Yeah.
We already have versions of that. Why not just have the robot umpire? And again, I'm not trying to take away the guy's job. He can still be the one who makes the decision.
Right.
I just don't want him to be making the decision behind the catcher.
Right. When we have the technology, it exists.
And I basically just want to eliminate pitch framing. I
Okay.
want to eliminate the guy who put the camera on me here for a second.
Okay, here we go.
Where here's the strike zone, and here's the guy catching it out here and pulling it back in.
But the umpire is over the opposite shoulder, and it just looks like the glove turn brings it back.
It's like one of those things where you catch it to make it seem like you caught it in the middle when you actually caught it over here.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And some of the strikes in ball, you could not have picked a strike zone.
The umpire last night, the home plate umpire, was just horrendous.
Yeah.
And there's been some pretty shaky calls behind the plate throughout the entire series, from what I can tell. So I'm kind of okay with the idea of let's push away from again It could also be, you could make it for a safety reason too.
Sure.
Like the umpire doesn't need to be back there getting hit in the throat by line drives.
How many times do we see umpires getting hit with foul balls, with wild pitches, a whole nine?
Right. And then you can still do like at the beginning of the game where it's just like the umpiring crew for today, and you show the 3 umps down on the field.
Yeah.
Talking like the first base, second base, third base ump, and then you just like show up into the press booth where it's like, and behind home plate Jeff Kellogg.
Yeah. Or I mean, have him sit directly behind home plate.
Yeah.
Like in Camden Yards, they have the little tunnel.
Just put him in a bubble.
No, I mean off the field, like behind the netting. But he's got the little iPad with the 3D modeling, and maybe running 2 cameras at the same time, looking down, and then the over the shoulder from center field with the box, the K box put on there.
Yeah.
And he can see, okay, strike, ball, strike.
I don't get it. I just don't anymore. This should be fixed. Let's just do something about that.
There was some conversation today that all of the home runs.
I mean, I don't want to give the machines too much power. I don't know if you heard this, but Saudi Arabia made the first like cyborg
citizenship
legal citizen.
Yeah.
One who claimed that she would destroy all humans. So.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's good choice. Good choice, guys. But
you didn't decide to pick Wally or something like that. You picked one that wanted to kill us. Good job, Saudi Arabia. The
idea of them calling the striking balls, I don't think that is necessarily a bad thing. You lose some of the intricacy. I mean, my argument to you last night was you lose some of the skill of a catcher. But one of the arguments today was all of the home runs that happened during Game 5 were because people were protecting the plate. They had no idea where the strike zone is, so you're swinging kind of wildly, and sometimes that means that you're going to swing at a pitch you wouldn't have before. Oh, look, it's a home run. Yeah. And you never know.
But I mean, also, there's no more manager ejections. Hardly ever, because of the replay.
Right, yeah.
You just go out and you just go can you please look at that? I think you're wrong. Please look at that. And it's largely eliminated umpire ejections.
Right.
I think we could do much the same with players being salty about a strikeout. If they know that the guy's looking at the actual video, his chances of getting it wrong are so much less.
You're just gonna see a lot of guys
if you just see one on the corner and you're just like, oh, didn't expect that to be. Guess I made a mistake. And just walk back.
I do like the idea of everybody looking up at the board, you see a close pitch and head snap, damn, all right.
That's why you got to have the robot ump behind home plate doing the.
I'm not getting behind your robot ump idea. I like the guy calling the balls and strikes from somewhere else. Also, it takes the guy off the field, so now the catcher doesn't have one more thing to get out of the way of.
Hold on a second. Robot ump that can be destroyed throughout the course of the game.
Okay.
So imagine this. Just as a thing. Say Chris Davis is up to bat.
Yeah.
And he goes to swing and he fouls it straight back and it misses the catcher's mitt and it just hits the robot ump in the face.
Right.
It can just start steaming out the side like it would at a Universal attraction.
Yes.
And just be like, danger, 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 boo! And little sparklers and shit like that. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
It would bring more joy. It would bring more joy to the game. What do you want? Do you want a joyless, horrible, fat man with a fucking bustier underneath trying to call balls and strikes, or do you want a robot that'll steam?
I think you should get a job working at a minor league baseball team.
This is becoming the no fun league, right?
You should get a job working for a minor league baseball team, because that sounds just like the gimmick that a minor league baseball team would run to get asses in seats.
Coming soon to the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. Enjoy that, Rancho Cucamonga. Anywho, enough fun. Let's talk about Mueller Monday.
Well, before we do that, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
All right, so we're back. And you want to talk... No, it's going to play an ad for any of the viewers. So, hey, we're trying out something new, guys. So YouTube allows us to pick basically ad spots. So instead of getting interrupted in the middle of a thought when Corey is ranting on about whatever he's ranting on about, we can pick the spot where an ad will play. So we get to say, hey, we're going to take a break and hit an ad. And then maybe, depending on your analytics, it might play an ad for you. So it's another great way that you can help out the podcast. Also, thinking about that.
What time in the podcast are we right now?
We're at 26 minutes.
According to YouTube?
According to YouTube.
I'd like to double check this.
Yes.
Okay.
We're at 26 minutes according to YouTube. But where was I going with that? Oh, another great way you can help out the podcast is everybody's getting ready for Christmas. Amazon, or shopping's coming up. Amazon is where everybody does their shopping. Let's be honest about it. I'm about to start shopping on Amazon for Christmas. So if you're going to do that, go through the link at otheanthem.com. Click on over to otheanthem.com. Actually, bookmark the link there to Amazon as your Amazon bookmark. And when you go through, it costs you nothing extra. You can shop just like you normally do, but a little bit comes back to the podcast. It's a free and easy way to help support your favorite podcast.
Also, you can go to the O The Anthem store,
right,
and pick up a shirt. I was wearing my Baltimore Corner t-shirt on set.
Yeah.
And people were like, wow, that's a really cool shirt. I'm just like, I designed this shirt.
Yeah.
They're just like, no way. And then
where is it available?
Where can I get one? OTheAnthem.com. It's where you can get all the shirts.
Absolutely.
More shirts. There's things where, believe me, I wish we discussed kind of briefly about the idea of putting videos all over the apartment.
Yeah.
If you saw the things I was tinkering with during the day that have not become live yet, you would grow very excited by the day.
Yes.
There's new website. There's new shirts. There's new stuff for the podcast.
Everything.
It's all happening. It's just a matter of getting it to the point where I don't feel ashamed about it.
And as you know, our first round of T-shirts disappeared when we put up the new round. So if you want to get a Baltimore Corner T-shirt, you may not be able to get it after the new T-shirts go up. So now's the time to go get yourself a Baltimore Corner T-shirt or the season's over, so we'd really be looking at our next season T-shirt. This season T-shirt, Drink Bo, Screamo, Play Ball. It was a hit.
It was a big seller.
If you want to get one of those T-shirts, now's the time to go and get it. And hey, it makes a perfect gift. So go to the O The Anthem store at otheanthem.com, or while you're there, click on the Amazon link, go to Amazon, get anything else that's not O The Anthem related. Help support your podcast. Again, the T-shirt's going to cost you something, but the Amazon link costs you nothing. Another great thing you do is when you see an ad pop up during the podcast, let that ad play. Hey, give a click on whatever the ad is. It'll
accidentally click it, close it, whatever.
It'll pop up separately. Let the page load and then close it, and that's another great way you can help the podcast. So,
especially when there are ads, because many times we start talking about controversial things.
Yes.
And then YouTube decides not to let us advertise on it, and that's when you got to double click extra hard on ads when they actually appear. So.
Yeah, to let YouTube know that you support the supporters who support us, the advertisers who support us, even if YouTube doesn't think we are advertiser worthy. Anyway, so moving on.
Yes.
You wanted to talk about what next? What are we?
Mueller Monday.
Which is why we decided to do a hashtag OTA After Dark today, because the announcement was made on Friday that indictments had been filed and they would be sealed until Monday, and everybody. It's Halloween weekend, so everybody was excited about Halloween, but it was almost the feeling of Christmas for a lot of leftists in America.
A lot of political junkies in general. I think.
Yes, yeah, they're just waiting to see what happened, and we got a double whammy today.
And just in case you were watching Fox News this morning, no, we're not talking about the Google cheeseburger emoji. We're talking about actual indictments in the Russia case.
It's funny how that story didn't even make it on Fox News today. Very weird. Very strange how that happened.
It got discussed, but, kind of like in other news.
Yeah.
Whereas CNN has, I think Anderson Cooper's been on for 48 straight hours going, we were talking more about...
more about the indictments. We're reading them
Get in, Jeffrey Tubin!
But yeah, so if you haven't been aware, on Friday, sealed indictments were filed, probably in the D.C. District Court. That would be my guess. I actually don't know what court, but that would be my guess. And then this morning, after being notified over the weekend, Paul Manafort turned himself into the FBI to answer to the indictment that was filed. So now Paul Manafort, officially indicted and officially has been arrested and arraigned and probably out on bail by now.
He's on house arrest.
Oh, is he? Okay, yeah, so there you go. Because he's white and rich and that's what happens. You don't actually go to jail. But beyond that, you were kind of following the activity today.
By the way, just to further it, there was Manafort's partner in his business was also charged.
Yes.
It is Rick Gates.
What is it?
Rick Gates.
Yeah, less connected with the campaign than Paul Manafort.
No, but connected with. So essentially, let me first put out the charges. Where is it here? It was a 12-count indictment.
Yep.
Reading through a piece to try and find it real quick. Can't. Anywho, just the dismissive shake of the head by Rob. Essentially, what this ties down to is not what has happened during the Russia investigation,
Right.
but rather Manafort's money laundering and foreign association with the Ukraine and specifically pro-Russia Ukrainian government official.
Yeah.
In which he took tens of millions of dollars, estimated at around $75 million in laundered money, and has been hiding in secret bank accounts all over the world.
Being a trader is very profitable.
Yeah. And a lot of how this money was laundered was like, Manafort bought $1.4 million in clothes. That's not weird. Or he spent $10 million at a rug store. Not unusual.
No.
Those are all things that normal people do.
Sure, yeah.
When they got money to burn, because Paul Manafort does...
Something? He's a consultant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he's really good at it, because he's
got paid really
$10 million at rug stores.
Yes,
so.
Indeed.
I wonder if it's the type of thing that, like, Putin buys him the rug, and then he goes back with the rug, and he's like, I don't want it anymore. Just give me cash refund for this rug.
Okay, yeah. And let's see, you take the $1,000 rug, and you only have to do that how many times to get $10 million?
Just buy one $10 million rug. That's how you do it.
Fair enough. Okay.
You walk in, you buy one $10 million rug, you pay cash, you give it to Paul Manafort.
Yes.
He returns it with the receipt. He gets $10 million cash back. Nobody knows anything about it.
Seems like a good scheme.
All under the government's purview.
It's a good scheme to me. So anyway, so it's not directly connected to the Russian investigation, but it's leading back to the financial documents that they took last fall.
Well, so here's what I imagine happened. The third person who was not even charged was
pled
guilty to lying to the FBI was George Papadopoulos.
Yes.
Who was a member of Trump's security team, like in determining world politics.
Yes.
He pled guilty for lying to the FBI, and it looks a lot like Manafort and Gates were being charged real heavy in much the way that you might charge a witness who you want to testify in another case.
Yes.
Have you ever seen that one?
Oh, I've seen that a lot. Yeah, that's often what they do.
You saw the robbery take place, but you don't want to testify. It'd be a shame if this sexual assault case that we had from 3 years ago all of a sudden finds its way into the court docket.
Right. Yeah.
That's 10 years in jail if you don't testify in this.
Well, no. It's not
quid pro quo.
Not quid pro quo at all. But it would be a shame for you to face 10 years after becoming a victim of this robbery, really. And all we really would need is the right witness to come forward. And, so...
Too bad we don't have that.
Too bad we don't have a witness.
Anyway, we'll see ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. This seems very much like... Paul Manafort and Richard Gates want to lie to the FBI and continue to not play ball, so we're going to charge them with all the things that we could possibly charge them with today.
Yes.
And let's see if they want to change their mind.
Well, and keep in mind, Al Capone, one of the worst gangsters in American history, murdered people.
I mean, he was a really good gangster.
Good at doing
it.
Yes.
Were bad.
Murdered probably thousands of people or had them murdered.
Yeah, in connection to the murders of...
Yes. Made liquor when it was illegal to do so. Gambling and drug running and many things. What is it that got him in jail?
Tax evasion.
Tax evasion.
Yeah.
And Paul Manafort, basically this entire scheme is about money laundering, which is avoiding paying taxes on cash.
Yeah.
And doing so.
But money he shouldn't have.
Ill-gotten money from the first
money
place.
He couldn't have gotten legally.
Yes.
So, much like I don't pay taxes on the $10 million of weed I sell every year.
Right.
Illegally. But if the government found out about it, then I would be... I guess I shouldn't be talking about this on the podcast.
Right, yeah.
No.
No, it's a secret. It's just,
it's all hypothetical. It's me, you, and the internet.
Right, yes.
But if I'm not paying taxes on the money and the government finds out, then they're going to charge me...
Yes.
To either send me to jail or make me pay the taxes.
Right. And so the interesting kink to this is how Papadopoulos fits in. Yeah. Because he pled today, but he was also charged today. And, his indictment was unsealed today, and then he pled guilty. He was apparently charged back in March of this year.
Right.
Unfortunately for the Trump administration, he's also been, in contact with everybody since then.
Let me back up a little bit through the timeline. So October now, he's arrested or pled guilty.
Yes.
To lying to the FBI. he apparently had agreed to this plea in April after being arrested in March. But the time in which he had lied to the FBI was in January. And it was the same exact day that Trump called Comey to the White House for dinner to ask for a loyalty pledge.
Right.
So it's not looking great.
Yeah,
not looking great.
Not good.
And if you were to believe Jeffrey Toobin, who has been a pretty prolific legal analyst for many years, he brought up the issue of the only reason that you wouldn't have heard about this arrest back in April when it actually happened was because they wanted to keep it under wraps so that maybe he could wire a wire.
Right.
Or he could engage in some sort of espionage of his own to gain information on what is going on in the Trump White House. Again, it just all seems very
bad news.
Well,
very bad news for people.
It gives what I like about Mueller's style here is that it gives the Trump team the opportunity to act like this has nothing to do with them.
Right.
He's kicking the can down the field, but I imagine that if he gets Manafort to flip or Gates to flip, then he could come down with more charges on more people within the campaign.
Right.
And then that's the ball of wax.
This
and
is like
getting the heat off of him by charging Manafort and Gates for something that happened 5 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago, allows Trump and all his cronies to go like, this isn't even about Russia. I don't know what you're talking about. Manafort did something else bad before he even became campaign manager of our team. We managed to turn it all around.
Well, and I'll say that this is how every RICO investigation works. Basically, you find a weak link and you try to exploit it. So the first weak link was Papadopoulos lying to the FBI, and we know about it. But then they seal the indictment and they have him go out and they do more stuff with him. So more than likely that he's been part of the investigation since then.
Papadopoulos hasn't been a member of the Trump campaign or a member of the
White
Trump White House.
Right.
He was barely a member of the Trump campaign, but he was a member enough that when they showed a picture of Trump during the campaign talking to his foreign relations team, he was in that picture sitting 3 spots away from Trump. He was also mentioned by name when the Washington Post interviewed Trump during the campaign and asked, "Who are you talking to get your information about foreign policy?"
Yeah.
He was one of the people named. So, I mean, it's not like he's a complete stranger to Trump.
Right.
Because he's sitting at prominent spots on the table and he's being named out loud.
And even if he didn't come into the administration, we know that Trump is going outside of the White House to get advice.
We also know that Trump still has his cell phone.
Yes.
Which you're not supposed to have.
Right.
I guess, fuck that. And people apparently are routinely just texting Trump or emailing Trump, or calling Trump on his cell phone, rather than going through the White House and all their records.
And the security. The record keeping, the things that you're supposed to do pursuant to federal law. But again, that might be something is if he called Trump and Trump answered his personal cell phone.
I mean, nothing matters anymore.
No, but here's my point. If he called Trump on his personal cell phone and they talk about a national security matter, that is a violation of the Securities Act.
Oh, true.
And if they recorded that call in a place where you only need one party consent, which I think is D.C., so they're both in D.C., and he calls Trump, now you have a violation by Trump. Yeah. So I think that Mueller is an excellent prosecutor. And when I look at what he's setting up here, the other thing we know about Trump is he tends to underreport and overreact. So it's like, This is not even about Russia. It's not even about Russia. And then behind the scenes, they're scrambling. And who knows who they're calling, which will be the person who Manafort flips on. And then now that person's facing time and is like, well, I mean, as soon as you charge Manafort, I got a call directly from the White House. And they wanted to discuss this thing, which is obviously going to be a problem. So, I mean, that's how you build a RICO investigation. You can feel the heat, even if it doesn't look like the heat's on you. And when you have somebody like Trump who's going to overreact to things, who knows what's going to happen. And the other part of it is, I think everybody's really anxious for Mueller to bring charges against somebody in the administration. But this is the old adage: if you're going to come at the king,
best not miss.
Yeah, and he's a guy who doesn't want to just willy-nilly start throwing charges out there. because you do have a Republican Congress, and the charges will be fleshed out in front of Congress. If I'm Mueller, I don't bring charges until 2018, because then at least it influences the coming election, and people either have to vote.
I don't think Mueller would do anything political here, and this is something I think should be said about Mueller again, because there's many right-leaning sites who are forgetting about who he was,
right?
Who he is. He was well known for the last 40, 50 years as like one of the best prosecutors the Justice Department ever had.
Yeah.
He didn't get drafted. He's voluntarily signed up for the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And then came back and became a lawyer for the Justice Department.
Yeah.
Became the head of the FBI, worked under both Republicans and Democrats. And even though he is a Republican, Obama asked Congress for the right to allow him to go longer than the term limit that you're allowed to serve as FBI director. Because everyone agreed he was doing such a bang-up job.
Yeah.
This is the man.
I am not looking at it as political, though.
He has been known to be very unbiased and very straight as far as following a case and just going by the rule of law, which is why the reason he was picked in the first place to serve.
I agree. My thought is not political, though. Let's use an example. You have a black teenager shot by a white cop.
Okay.
In the city of LA, you have two places where
I hardly believe that.
Yeah.
That seems like a very unbelievable story.
In the city of LA, you have two places where that jury trial can be carried out. Santa Monica and downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Where do you carry out that trial?
Downtown.
Why?
Because you want to have the option of having as many black faces on the
jury
as possible.
Right. So why would Mueller wait until 2018 to file the charges that will eventually be carried out in front of Congress? Because if he files them now, what is his jury pool going to look like?
Well, it's going to be people in D.C.
No, because there's no real trial. Congress carries out the trial.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So he's looking at, if I file now, it's a Republican Congress and very pro-Trump, at least on the surface, pro-Trump Republican Congress. If you wait till 2018, you don't know what kind of jury you're going to get, but there's a chance that you get a friendlier jury. So it's not political. It's about getting the right jury to hear the case.
I think the thing is that Mueller probably knows that every single Republican right now in Congress and the Senate, and I'm including Bob Corker and Jeff Flake in this conversation, even though they called out Trump recently.
And we didn't even get so much bullshit. We didn't even get to Bob Corker.
I'll include other people who are like on the fuck Trump bandwagon too, like John McCain or Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins. All these people, despite being Republicans, are also cowards because they're waiting for the wind to change before they do anything.
Yeah.
Jeff Flake realizes he's never going to win re-election and decides to speak out against Trump now rather than try and run for re-election and speak out against Trump.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, now that I'm not going to be able to do it anymore, I'll speak out. I'll do whatever I want. I'll talk about Trump all I want.
Yeah.
No. If you're a real patriot and you really think that Trump is damaging to the country, regardless of whether or not he's a Republican or a Democrat or neither in this situation, speak out. Say something is wrong. We all applauded John McCain for taking the moment to give the thumbs down during the vote. But we're also forgetting that McCain has been complicit in so much of what Trump has been doing.
Yep.
And by not calling him out on any number of the other things that he's been doing, you don't get to shroud yourself in glory.
You can't make yourself a hero.
One moment. Yeah. To do the thumbs down. I appreciate that he did it.
Yes.
But I'm saying that it doesn't,
and killing the bill twice more after.
Yeah, it doesn't absolve you of all sins.
Right.
What's going to happen, I imagine, is that Mueller will do his investigation. He'll do it in whatever timeline he sees fit. And when he feels like he has charges against Trump and enough top-level Trump associates, including probably Don Jr. and Ivanka and Jared and all them.
And now Kelly, most likely, and Tillerson.
He'd probably be in there too.
Yeah.
You could probably imagine that there's going to be some muckety-mucks who get involved. Like DeVos was never a teacher; she was just a Republican donor.
Yeah.
So maybe she had something to do with it. Who knows?
Steve Bannon, probably.
It can go all over the place. It's only Mueller knows where the investigation is now, and that's the part that we're trying to figure out. But I imagine he goes with it whenever he has it.
He doesn't wait.
Because he doesn't wait. Because
that's putting a lot of faith in Congress to do the right thing, and I don't think that they would do it.
I think that once charges are through, and once you can put together a compelling enough case as to what Trump did.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we go back to the famous Richard Nixon quote that led to his impeachment. What did he know and when did he know it?
Right.
If Trump knew that Papadopoulos went into the FBI, lied on his behalf,
yeah, and
called Comey into the Oval Office
to cover that,
then that's obstruction of justice.
Yep.
That's as clear a case of obstruction of justice as I could possibly think of.
Yeah.
So right there, you have him guilty of the crime.
Sure.
And there's going to be a number of people who turn on Trump at that moment.
Sure, theoretically.
While there are people who are going to just die on that Trump hill no matter what the fuck he does.
Yep.
There are going to be people who go like, well, I didn't sign up for the obstruction of justice. I thought he was just having dinner with James Comey. Like, and they're going to act stupid like they didn't know the whole time.
Yeah.
I am appalled to find out that there's gambling going on in this house. Like,
how dare you?
You mean to tell me that there's underage kids drinking here? Like, this is upsetting to me as a person.
Officer, be assured, I will handle this right now. Thank you. Have a good night. But I think that there are less people than you think. I think that him getting charges will close ranks in the Republican Party. Because he is going to say, if I survive this, I will sink all of you. All of you will be gone if I survive.
Who, Trump?
Yeah. And you need 3/4.
I don't think Trump holds, just based off of what's going on in the Alabama Senate race, the one to replace Jeff Sessions. The candidate that Trump chose got eliminated in the primary.
Yeah.
By the more establishment candidate. And even now, as Trump's trying his best to wrap his arm around him, it's only making things worse for him.
Yeah.
Because he was he was not like a member of the KKK, but essentially as racist as one would expect a member of the KKK to be. So, I mean, it's I think right now that Paul Ryan and McConnell are looking at the field, and they say, we have all these things, let's try our best to make taxes work, and we'll play things one at a time. And then if at the end of this, say, I don't know, let's say there's a little Christmas miracle of more indictments, and Trump himself is included in the list.
Yeah.
Then I imagine we're going to hear I can't believe that there's gambling going on here at that point from Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. It's like, well, there was an awful lot of smoke, but we didn't see fire, but this shit's on fire. And
now we have to back away.
Now we have to do, and then they'll try their best to quietly herd all the Republicans who had been pro-Trump into the
it'll split
Republican
the
party of old.
It'll split the party.
Oh, it will. But I'm saying this is their only hope of trying to salvage any of this. Because as soon as you got in bed with Trump, you knew that the volatility of what was going to happen might fracture the party. I would like to make one other point.
Okay. And
say, goddamn fucking Hillary Clinton, you guys had to do it. You just couldn't help yourself. You had to make her the nominee. Okay. I am so fucking sick and tired of any single time that anything happens with Trump, there's some new thing with Hillary Clinton. This Uranium One story is fucking the biggest tall tale I've ever heard. Yet so many people are going oh, what about all the money the Clinton Foundation? Fuck you guys. Seriously. Just if you would have just backed up, realized that there was a sea change to the Democratic Party, and things were going more progressive naturally, and Bernie was a wonderful voice for this message.
Yeah.
Then you would have seen that Hillary was not a candidate that should have been at the top of the party ticket. And if she won a very close primary with Bernie and it was all above board and it happened, I imagine everybody who was on the Bernie side of the ticket would have gone, you know what? It was close. She won. Let's get our arms around Hillary.
Yeah.
She may not be the best candidate, but we'll figure out a way to do it. I don't think she would have won the primary, first of all,
right?
If they would have actually done it fair. But,
and if there were no superdelegates, which is really
what decided.
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, I think that we could have had, potentially, if this was Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump, and for whatever reason Bernie lost in that election, we would have had a open and clear news cycle in which you talk nothing about Manafort and Gates and Papadopoulos. But instead, we're talking about Uranium One, which is a completely cooked up thing, and we're also talking about how Hillary's campaign and the DNC and various other Democratic sources, never mind that it was started by a Republican, helped fund the dossier.
Right.
And, again, I don't care if you do opposition research. It's perfectly legal to do opposition research.
It is.
It's illegal to not say where you're spending the money on.
Yeah.
So if you spend, I'm just making up a number here, $1 million to fund the dossier, then you have to report that in FEC filings.
Even if you just put opposition research.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But to hide the money and say you didn't spend it,
to
that's a problem.
Hide the money in a $14 million
breakage
that you're putting towards legal fees.
Yeah.
It's a little touch and go. Like I really wish that I wake up and I hear some horrible Trump news and I'm just like, all right, this is it.
Yeah.
He's good now. We're done. We're tired of we've finished litigating this 2016 election. We just realized that Trump's terrible. We're gonna move on from the whole thing. We're gonna wake up tomorrow and it's gonna be a better day.
Nope.
No. Hillary decided to fund the dossier. She doesn't know who did it. Vanessa doesn't know who did it. Like Debbie Wasserman Schultz doesn't know anything about it. Donna Brazile doesn't know anything about it. It's just a big, huge fucking mystery who funded this dossier and decided to not cover it correctly in FEC filings. Like, please, for the love of God, just learn from your mistakes, everybody. That's all I ask. If you're gonna make mistakes, you should have the basis to learn from them and not make them again.
And let's keep in mind that since the end of the election, the biggest kerfuffle that they've dug up about Bernie is that his wife approved a new university building in a town that somehow she may have benefited from.
Yeah.
In some indirect fashion. And I can't even remember how it is they were trying to argue that she benefited from it.
I think the argument was something like she was raising money for some building and had it go into her account before it went into some other account.
That's what it was.
Like it was
yeah.
Like
so she kept the
Segway
interest.
Account or something like
she kept the interest on a several $1,000s before it went into the proper account. Yeah. That is the extent of the dirt we found on Bernie Sanders. So when you're talking about keeping news cycles clear, it's not like Bernie's clear of dread.
Listen,
people are trying to dig stuff up.
If Bernie was president right now, it would probably be the worst thing for the Democratic Party.
Oh, yeah.
Because, it would still be a Republican Congress. It would still be a Republican Senate. He wouldn't have as much freedom as he did during the primary in which to say he has a plan, announce what the details of the plan are, but not announce how they would pay for it or how it would work.
There might be the same infighting between the Democrats in Congress who are not as progressive as the president.
Yeah.
It's the opposite problem on the other end of the spectrum.
The Republicans might be able to ram things through even better because there would be divisiveness in the Democrats.
Yeah.
The less populated party in the Congress and the Senate.
Yeah, and they're not as organized as the Republicans are.
Right.
They can't call votes and get people to vote along with them the way that the Republicans can.
Right, much like the Republican Party is splintering.
Yeah.
But
we wouldn't have this confusion about other stuff.
We said the whole time this Hillary Clinton thing was a terrible idea.
Yep.
And you all were going to regret it one day. And even if she was president, it wasn't going to be any better. No. And here she is, not president. She's still ruining things. She's still making my life miserable. She needs to just go somewhere.
Well, she did. She was somewhere for a while, and she came back
and had a book to sell,
and then immediately had something to hawk to us.
Yeah.
And then more because she wouldn't stay out of the public mindset. More dirt got done.
But then she would do interviews where nobody. See, the problem is that nobody pushes Hillary Clinton because she doesn't have to take those interviews.
Right.
She doesn't need to. not like anyone would listen to anything that was said between a Sean Hannity and Hillary Clinton interview.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't even get a reasonable middle of the road anchor to interview Hillary Clinton and get out the answers that you want, because she's not going to answer the questions you want her to answer anyway. So it's all a big shit show, and I just wish she would fucking go away, because it's just making everything worse.
And mentioning how she doesn't know what her political future is. Like,
yeah, shut the fuck up. Please go.
If you're thinking about 2020, can we say in the strongest possible terms, do not.
Nobody wants this.
Yes. Ugh.
I mean, even the people who voted for Hillary, I felt like all did it like behind clenched teeth and like, I'm with her.
I mean, half of the people who were Bernie supporters
by the end, a lot of Hillary supporters were basically just saying things like they had talked themselves into it.
Yeah,
like they had gotten more comfortable with the
idea. Do you see Trump?
Yeah,
or you gotta make sure
she's the most qualified person to ever run for president. Like clearly she's got to be president. She's the most qualified who's ever run. Like,
Yeah. And we see how that turned out. But by the way, we just passed the anniversary of the Comey letter.
Yeah.
Which changed dropped her 20 points in the polls. So just so you know, enjoy that. That was a year ago.
I'm sure everybody who is actually pro Hillary is like screaming at their
I'm sure they are.
Right now,
yeah.
You're like, you don't remember about when the Comey letter and that. No, I understand. I get it.
Yep.
I completely understand where you're coming from. Maybe not have a crooked candidate.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I'm not trying to pull out old Trump lines here, but I mean, she was as bought and paid for as bought and paid for goes. Yeah. She was the little Uzi Vert of politicians.
Do you know how you avoid the Comey letter?
How?
Bernie Sanders as your candidate, because then
don't have Hillary Clinton.
There's no investigation.
Because then if you, a week before the election, decide to write a letter talking about private citizen Clinton and how we're going to look into her email investigation again, it doesn't do anything except for make Bernie go like, oh, for shame, the swamp and the... And
I'm going to continue my journey to clean up the Democratic Party. Yeah. This is why I started running in the first place.
This is why I joined the Democrats running this election.
This is why so many Democrats have followed me and voted for me. We are going to clean up this party, and we're going to make sure that we take a step into the new future instead of sinking the campaign and electing Donald Trump. So, let's take one more break, and then we'll talk about our last topic. We can't avoid it. I mean, the Harvey Weinstein fallout continues in Hollywood. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll talk about that. So come back with us. All right, and we're back.
Hey,
so
I'm hoping this works. I'd like to.
We're going to see how it shakes out. But nonetheless, so I mean, the Harvey Weinstein thing is still in the news. Not the Harvey Weinstein thing, but really the fallout from him, because Harvey Weinstein is done in this town, other than suing his own brother and their company to try and get back into the seat. But, it is. I've been hearing a lot about how it's changing the way that Hollywood works. Let's hope. Mm-hmm. Let's hope that it's going to change things for the better. But last week you talked a little bit about your concern over the slippery slope that could develop.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that now, given the well, first of all, who woke up happy today? Kevin Spacey, number one, happiest guy about Manafort Monday.
See, but I don't know about that, because it seemed like all I was hearing was either Spacey or Manafort. It wasn't that it was just like Kevin Spacey